let's move on to our what we were talking about with the draft and all the rookies on this class. And if you do like talking about NBA or fantasy basketball, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Chuck us a like if you can. And if you want to hear sort of more up-to-date commentary, follow us along on Twitter as well at Ball Boys NBA. And we're tweeting stuff all the time. If there's like a rush to grab a quick player, you'll hear it first on Twitter before we make a video about it. So if you do, check it out there. But yeah, these NBA rookies, mate, they're not doing too bad. Give me your first initial impressions on the class. You think it's better than was advertised?
I think it was definitely better than advertised. I think that there is 4 legit like stars in this draft, and there could be more because it's obviously so early on. But I think it's surprisingly deep as well. I guess give or take, the COVID's let a lot of these guys have a bit more opportunity because of the protocols. But that being said, that they are performing pretty well, and there's definitely a lot of high side, a lot of upside for these young players.
Yeah, okay. We'll get stuck into those stars that you named before. Interested to see who you think are the players that stand out to you. But yeah, my opinion of this draft, I think it's better than what I initially thought it was. I don't know if I'm quite as high on you on the overall talent level. I think it's deeper, definitely, than what we initially thought, which I guess was never really the criticism. It was more the standout superstar talent at the top end. It was always talked about as a flat draft, but I think that it goes deeper than the initial projection suggested. So some players in the late sort of first round are still producing very quality minutes for NBA teams. So I think there are a few standouts that a bit of surprises this year, including one Celtic rookie who I will get into later, who I was very surprised by. But first off, we want to sort of, I know this is really early, but we want to compare the 2020 to the 2019 class. So this current class to the 2019 class. So I'll run through a few highlights from each draft class. Obviously, last year you've got some huge names in Zion Williamson and Ja Morant, the 2 leading men there. But you've also got some guys like Kobe White for the Chicago Bulls, Tyler Hero, PJ Washington for the Charlotte Hornets, Eric Paschal, RJ Barrett for the Knicks, Darius Bazley, Matisse Thybulle, and Brandon Clark, to name a few notable players there. And for the 2020 class, you've obviously got your Lamello Ball, James Wiseman, Tyrese Halliburton has been a big surprise. Anthony Edwards has been the number 1 pick. Jury's still out there. Danny Avdia, Tyrese Maxey has been a name that's been coming up. Killian Hayes, Patrick Williams, and Obi Toppin, to name a few. We'll go into it more later, but just based on those names you've said, and again, it's really early, which class are you taking as the quote-unquote better class, Cal?
I'm going to say right now, I think this 2020 draft has more superstar talent and also a deeper draft.
Really? Okay.
It might be a hot take, but I'll sell it to you. I'll happily sell it to you. 2019, it's pretty clear. You got 2 studs in Zion and Ja Morant. And yes, that look, their ceiling may be a bit higher than some of the drafts in the 2020. So from that perspective, if you're looking best player of the 2 drafts, those 2 would definitely be probably top 3. Definitely in the top 5. So they're right up there. But after that, it really does sizzle off in the 2019 draft. There are some names, but I don't really see that high ceiling kind of star level in many of these players. Kobe White, yeah, he's a scorer. I still don't think he's going to contribute that much to a really good winning team. You got players like, RJ Barrett, DeAndre Hunter, Cameron Johnson are a couple you didn't mention who look like, kind of good role players. And I think a lot of this draft is more of like a role player draft, aside from that Zion and Ja Morant, stud at the top 1 and 2. What's your take on the 19?
Well, what about your boy Tyler Hero? I thought as a Heat fan, you'd mention him. He's looking pretty good.
He's looking great. Like he's a bucket. Let's make that clear. Tyler Hero can get a bucket 100%. But he's probably, he's not number 1 or 2 option on a championship team. I don't think. I think his ceiling might be like maybe a number 3 option if it all works out. And even then, I feel like his defense is a bit limited. So he doesn't help you that much on that end. So he'd be the 3rd probably best player in that draft currently, right?
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, I think it's either him or Kobe White, and I'd probably lean towards Tyler Hero at this stage. Look, I agree with you. I think I'm probably, again, a little bit higher on like Zion Williamson and Ja Morant. I think in the past, like this draft, the 2020 draft and their draft, 2019, I think they are the top two players. I don't think anyone in this current draft is going to be as good as those two as long as they stay healthy. And I think they both have higher ceiling than anyone in this class, period, really, for me. And so I guess it is a question of like, ceiling of the best players versus the depth of the rest of the draft, and what do you value more as determining the better draft. I see this 2020 draft as like, yeah, there's some starters on here, but again, a lot of role players that I think will be effective role players. But I don't know. I'm curious to see your case on, you said there's 4 star potential players here. I'm curious to see who you have there, because
maybe 5.
Maybe 5. Okay, I can think of maybe 2 or 3, but hit me with those star players that you're thinking from 2020.
All right. Well, I think these guys have just as big a ceiling as, say a Ja Morant or Zion. So I think the sky's the limit. From what I've seen, I think the potentials is through the roof. So I'll say Lamello Ball has, maybe he's convinced me. I was a bit of a hater. What I'm seeing him do is pretty damn impressive. He's an incredible passer. His shooting still is a project. I feel like his shot probably, say 5 years from now, hopefully it starts clicking and he can be a bit more efficient. But he does so much else on the court to still kind of contribute, because he's tall, long, gets rebounds, gets really good assists, can still make people honor you and honor your shot, while getting so many other people involved. So he's one of those guys who's bump up a team a lot, moves the ball so much, gets people motivated to make cuts and go for some of those passes that he makes. So he's definitely up there for me. James Wiseman as well. I think that kid is just so talented. You see some of his highlight reel stuff, and like there was a game I think about a week ago. He just grabbed a rebound and took it down the court and just dunked it. Like that's, I know it was a block. Then he ran down, then dunked it. Like not many people can do that. That's like Giannis kind of level.
He's got those flashes. He's got flashes of brilliance, and like I think you said the key word there. He's got like that Giannis kind of, that big body, dribble down the court, blocking shots, dunking the ball. Look, I don't think he's quite the ball handler that Giannis is, but there is some flashes of really high potential in James Wiseman. But it is only flashes at this stage, I think, for him.
Well, we're talking about flashes. I'm seeing some flashes from Anthony Edwards as well. Like that dude is this crazy athletic. Some of the plays he does, he's just so quick, and you can tell he'd just be able to break down so many different defenders. I just hate his shot selection. A lot of his shots is so dumb, and I really hope that they can improve. I feel like if it does click one day, this guy's ceiling is once again superstar, because he is so elite athletically, and he's still pretty long. Like he's a solid, 6'5", long arms, jump out of the fucking gym. I think he's got the ceiling for him is through the roof too, 100%. It's just that IQ that needs to improve.
See, here's where you lost me. I think I don't know. I'm well down on Anthony Edwards. I'm just getting the Andrew Wiggins vibe from him. It's like, that first year that we watched Andrew Wiggins, we said the similar kind of things. It's like, oh yeah, this flashes. He's so athletic. If he only just improved his shot selection, if he only, wasn't, making silly plays, but that never, I don't know, for some reason that doesn't seem to leave certain players' games. And I'm worried that it's going to be the case for Anthony Edwards, and he's always going to be just, an inefficient scorer with little else. I don't really see playmaking in his game. I don't really see, yes, he's a bigger body and he might be able to play defense, but I don't see the work rate for him to be able to do that, or the instincts for him to do that. So I don't know. I'm a bit down on Anthony Edwards. I think he'll be an NBA starter. I don't see really star potential in him from what I've seen so far. And again, it's really early, but that's where I'll disagree slightly with you there.
Yeah, I think the negatives are more there, just because IQ is pretty important. It's something that like St. Lamello has through the roof.
Just a little bit.
That way creates so many more players. But Anthony Edwards said that kid is freak athlete, 100%. Yeah. So if it does click for him, I mean, James Harden kind of ceiling if it does click for him.
Who's your other? You mentioned 4 or 5. Who's the other 2?
Interesting enough, you don't think? Oh no, you do have him on your list. Yeah, Tyrese Halliburton. Come on. Yeah. He's balling. He's looking like a solid player for like 12 years from now. Really good. This gets people involved. Can do it all. No weakness to this kid's game, and he can only get better.
I would even argue that he could potentially win Rookie of the Year this year. He probably is leading the race right now. you talked about those others too in terms of upside, but this guy right now, he is performing really, really well. So I like that pick. I don't think he has the same upside as those other two, but in terms of like a floor and what he's doing currently, yeah, he's really, really impressed me. I know Michael was really hot on him. I was sort of a bit skeptical, but he's definitely won me over. And I think landing in a situation like the Kings where you've got De'Aaron Fox as the main ball handler and he can sort of work off him, come in and run the second unit in certain stages, I think that's been really beneficial to him. Whereas if he was sort of like in Detroit, as the main point guard, I don't know if he'd be as successful. But yeah, really, really happy with what I've seen from Tyrese Halliburton. So I give that one a big tick.
There we go. And here we go. Here's my number 5. I reckon this guy could be like a Kawhi Leonard type guy. Did Anthony Edwards? Have you?
Oh, you said Anthony.
Oh, sorry, Anthony Edwards. Let me say Patrick Williams.
Yeah.
Patrick Williams. Have you seen this guy play?
I have seen him play, and I'll give a spoiler. We've got a bigger surprise section coming up later. He is in that bigger surprise section for me because I was down on the pick when they made it. He was the 4th pick in the draft, and I was like, "What the fuck? This guy didn't even start in college." It seemed super random at the time, but he's looked really good. He's looked like an efficient scorer. He's got sort of like the athletic, physical tools, bigger than what I thought. So
yeah, that's the one thing that surprised me. Like this guy is big. Like he is a massive guy, and like he's kind of right now he's got that mid range just kind of working for him.
Yeah.
Which is why I do kind of say he's a bit of a Kawhi Leonard. And not only that, but LeBron James, when he was guarded by him about a week ago, he said this kid's got all the tools. He does remind me like Kawhi, like a young Kawhi,
right.
like 100%. So if you have players like LeBron saying that about you, that's pretty impressive. And as I said, the eye test, this guy is a big dude. A legit like kind of like 6'8", 6'9", small forward who's can move and can hit that kind of mid-range game. So it just takes him a few years to really stretch it out to the 3. And I think this kid could be very legit.
Yeah. Okay. Hot take. I like it though. I do see the potential there. I think it would take a little bit to get there, but if it all works out for him, he could be one of those sort of guys that ends up being an all-star at some point. I do think it would take a lot of things to go right, though, particularly the fact that he's in Chicago. And I don't know, their player development over there is not always the best. So we'll see how that all goes. I do want to mention two more names in terms of highest potential. And I want to get your thoughts on these guys. We haven't seen much of this player yet. He's actually only played one game due to injury, but a player that I was really high on before the draft, and that is Onyeka Akong. I'm really excited to watch this guy play a little bit more. I was pretty annoyed that he went to the Hawks just because he's going to be playing behind John Collins and Capella. I was hoping that the Celtics would actually trade up to pick this guy because I think he could potentially be an all-star at some point. Not necessarily a superstar, but like that, all-star big man that does his roles, play good defense, and is an efficient scorer. I think he is sort of the prototypical big man in the NBA at the moment and what teams value as a center. So I really want to continue to see this guy progress and shine and get more minutes in the NBA. So what are your thoughts on Onyeka?
I think I'm probably not going to say his ceiling's that high in my opinion. I think he's going to be a real good role player for a very long time. Defensive catalyst to some good teams. Maybe he can make an all-star game, but I don't think he's really got that superstar jumping out at me.
I'm not calling him superstar. I'm calling him like a lot of people compared him to Bam Adebayo. I don't think he's going to have Bam's ceiling because I don't think he has the playmaking and ball handling that Bam has, but everything else he sort of does have, like that Bam does in terms of that. He's able to guards, switch and play out in the open court on defense. He's super athletic. I don't know if you've seen the highlights from him in college. He's really athletic, very agile, can jump out the gym, and he's 7'1". So all the physical tools are there for him. And I definitely think that he's someone that now that he's back in action and got over this injury that we should be keeping an eye on in the future. The other guy that I wanted to talk about, and I'm on the record saying that I'm pretty high on this guy, and he hasn't turned out well so far, and that's Killian Hayes. Look, I'll take the L on that one so far. He hasn't been very good.
Still
and he's
early
been,
though.
it is still early, and I've seen some flashes. Although, look, in all honesty, he has been disappointing so far. So, uh, do you think that it's like you said, is it still too early to sort of have like judgment on him, or do you think he's sort of going to be a disappointment?
Look, it's still too early. I'll say that. But that being said, I don't think it's looked too promising. This has out of the whole draft, this looks like the biggest bust so far. Obviously, he has heaps of time to redeem himself. He's injured. Let's hope he just takes some time, really comes back 100%. And look, he's with that Pistons team who will give him a lot of opportunity. So he should be able to learn. He should be able to grow.
Yeah, I think part of the reason I think he has struggled so much is because he is with that Pistons team, and that team's a mess at the moment. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what the coach is doing. The rotations just seem strange. There's a severe lack of shooting on that team. There's no spacing on the court. And for someone who struggles with athleticism, that is going to hurt him, because if teams are able to sag off, he's not going to be able to beat his man, and he's going to struggle with that. His playmaking's looked okay, and his shooting has been suspect as well. So something I thought that could be a little better was his shooting compared to his numbers overseas, but that hasn't happened so far. So perhaps it is real. Perhaps he's not the greatest shooter in the world, which is something that I was anticipating him to be better at. But I still hold a little bit of hope for Killian Hayes, and that he can turn it around. Once that Detroit teams leans into the youth movement a bit more, and they play some other young guys that can shoot the ball. Let's move on to some surprises in the NBA draft. I mentioned someone before, but I'll hold that for a second. Do you have any other big surprises to watch out for, or that have surprised you so far, Cal?
Look, there's a couple which I did kind of mention, and there's a few names that are just kind of coming out of nowhere as well. So I guess I'll say Emmanuel quickly. He's been getting a bit of opportunity, fortunately for the Knicks.
The Knicks,
and he's taken advantage of that opportunity. He's looking really good. He looks like a bright spark. He's still so young as well, so you like to see that pick up. I like Sadiq Bey as well. Another guy traded from to Detroit. It's that weird team in Detroit, but I don't know. I watched a couple of Detroit teams because they are weirdly okay to watch.
Yeah,
I'm just a bit curious as to what they're doing.
It's a bit of a car crash. You can't keep your eyes off it.
Exactly. Yeah. And when I see him on the court, I actually like what he's doing. He's big frame, big dude. Can get the ball in the bucket sometimes. So I think he's definitely a surprise.
Yeah, he can shoot the three, that's for sure. So I don't mind that pick. I think he should play more minutes. For some weird reason, they're playing Wayne Ellington over him. They're playing, like all these veterans, when I don't know why. They're not going to winning games. They're not going to push for any playoffs contention. So I think they should play him more. So I like that pick. I will say, Emmanuel quickly, I think he's the best rookie in New York. Shout out to Obi Toppin. He's looked really good. He's maybe even pushing to be their starting point guard later in the season. We might touch on this a little bit later in the fantasy segment of the pod today. But he's efficient at scoring. He can shoot it. And to win over minutes on a Tom Thibodeau team as a rookie, that's impressive. He doesn't give rookies too much of a run normally. So well done to Quickly.
Yeah, he's a good kid. It takes COVID really to make Tom Thibodeau play some rookies, and fortunately, that's what we had this season. So he got some opportunity, and I think he's knocking on that door for that role, 100% for the starter. Yeah,
I'm not sure if that's come across. Yeah, I've just lost your audio a bit there, Cal. I think you're back now. Let's move on anyway. We won't spend too long being negative, but I do want to talk about some busts in the NBA. Now, I don't know if this is a bit harsh, but I'm calling Anthony Edwards. No, it's definitely harsh. It's definitely too harsh. But I'm calling Anthony Edwards the biggest bust of the draft so far, because I don't know, like when you had James Wiseman and Lamello Ball there, I just think that this guy is clearly nowhere near as good as those two. There was always a big three. It was never him as being the head and shoulders above the other two. So I think you've swung and missed there if you're the Minnesota Timberwolves, and I just don't love it, and I don't love his prospects moving forward. I have some serious concerns. Obviously, I'm being really harsh, calling him a bust, being only a few games into his career, but with the limited sample size, that's what I'm leaning on so far. Do you have any other guys? I mean, we talked about Killian Hayes before. Is there anyone else that you would call a bust this early on in their career?
I was never a big fan of Danny Advia. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know. I never loved this game. Drafted number 9. The Wizards are starting him, and they did say that he did win that position. But I don't know. I just
There's not much competition.
that's true. That is a good point.
Yeah.
But when I watch him, there's just not. He kind of just looks like a solid-ish player, but I feel like he's just going to end up being kind of like a I don't know, like a Saric maybe, just like that level of player, a guy who
Yeah.
could start but be pretty average, and then could come off the bench and be okay. And for your number 9 pick, I think that was better. Like you could have taken Tyrese Haliburton at that pick, for
Yeah.
example.
Yeah.
There's better players out there, I think. But
Yeah.
anyway, that's one on my list.
Yeah, fair enough. I'll also want to shout out Isaac Okoro. I know he's a defensive player, but even still, man, this guy struggles to do anything else. He can't put the ball in the basket. He's got no jump shot. Sure, he might be a defensive specialist, but I think you need to have a little bit more to bring to the table, and maybe he can develop it in the future. He might be one of those project type players that comes along a bit slower, but not really impressed. And at pick number 5, yeah, I think you could have got a lot better options than that if you're the Cavs. You didn't have too much talent on there, so just get the best player available. You didn't need to draft based on positional need at small forward. So I think that was a mistake by the Cavs. All right, let's move on to our last segment here for talking rookies. And I just want to highlight a couple of rookies that I'm watching that I think could actually be sneaky good. I've got a few names in here. The first one I want to throw out there is Desmond Bain of the Memphis Grizzlies. He is currently, I believe, in the top 10 in the league, not of the rookie class, but in the league of 3-point shooting percentage. And
Specialist.
yeah, he is a shooter. And I don't know if you've watched many Grizzlies games, but this dude is jacked. He's a big boy.
Yeah, he's a thick dude.
Yeah,
He's a big guy.
He looks strong as, and he's a solid player. He looks like he can score the ball efficiently, which is something that they don't really have over there in Memphis. And I plays solid defense. Not outstanding. He doesn't have the longest frame or wingspan, but someone who I am looking at as being potentially a late round. He was a late first round pick, so a bit of a steal in this draft. So do you have any other sneaky good rookies that we're watching?
Well, I'll touch on Bain. He was actually the last pick, so it was number 30.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like this is one of
last
those classic dropped because he's a bit older. He was 22.
Yeah.
But he's a big dude. He can shoot the ball. He'll have a good career for sure. Like the man can hit a 3. So
If you can hit a 3, you got a career in the NBA.
I'll say one sneaky good guy to watch is one of your favorite players, Mitch. And I probably can't say his name
I think I know.
But Alexei Pakushevsky.
Yeah, Alexei Pokusevsky. There you go.
There we go.
Yeah.
He's just kind of weird to watch because he's just so big and skinny, but still kind of thinks he's a point guard. I don't know. He just like tries to do some handles, tries to do a dribble, like step backs, and interesting dude. It's a very mixed bag. I'm not really sold on him yet, but a very interesting talent. So look, I'll keep an eye on him just out of curiosity.
100%. Look, I actually own him in one of my dynasty leagues, so I watch a lot of his games to sort of see how he's going, and I see flashes. of something really special, and then I'll see something that's really ordinary, and he'll throw up a brick or do something real dumb. He's ambitious, is what I'll give him. Like in today's game, I think he threw like a half-court lob to someone. Like it was ambitious. It nearly connected, but not quite. But yeah, he's an NBA prototype that we've never seen before. So it's hard to get a read on a player like that. A 7'1" point guard, shot blocking, 3-point shooting, skinny dude. So yeah, he's one to watch for sure. So it could end up being nothing. He might end up just fading out of the league, but he could on the other end be something special. So I do like.
He's at the right team for it. Okay, so he'll give him as much opportunity as any other team will.
Yeah, definitely.